people who think that way just don't get it. And what's more encouraging, this is not just an American phenomenon. It's not just something that's going on in this country. This is a worldwide phenomenon. I was so interested to see some political demonstration in Poland that had a newscast that probably showed up on Russia Today channel, or certainly not on Fox News, showing these people standing in that demonstration holding up Ron Paul signs. And this movement to a new civilization, a new renaissance, if you will, becomes even stronger as the destructive nature of the corporate state power system increases. It's been said that Ron speaks truth to power. Here I disagree. He speaks truth to the powerless. Those with power already know the truth. They don't need Ron to tell them. They just don't want the rest of us to find out. This is what the furor over Julian Assange is all about. The fear that people will speak the truth other than things that the state wants you to know. Speaking truth to the powerless is what those with power fear the most. This is the terror that the established order conducts its war against. And I should point out that Ron's efforts transcend politics. This isn't a Republican versus Democrat, liberal versus conservative, or anything like that. The remnant is found across the spectrum. I've seen a number of people here wearing shirts indicating that they are former Democrats who support Ron Paul. I also remember seeing a program on C-SPAN a few weeks ago, people talking about the Bradley Manning hearing. And these were people, they struck me as not being libertarian in a philosophic background, but one of the speakers there spoke at this conference that was on C-SPAN and said, when the hearing was over, we came out of the building and here were the Ron Paul people. And he admittedly indicated that he wasn't quite sure about this. What does this mean? The Ron Paul people showing up for something like this, and then came to the realization that this is really all about the freedom to speak the truth. I'm reminded of my old dear friend Carl Hess, the man who was Barry Goldwater's speechwriter, who was fond of using as a metaphor for all of this. He said the idea of getting on a train. You're getting on a train at a particular location and you're heading toward a destination known as total peace and freedom, peace and liberty, however you want to characterize that. That's where we're heading to, a society of total liberty and total peace. He said some people are going to get on that train and go all the way with us. Others who might want to get off early. Some of them might say, well, I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet. And Carl said, we should welcome all of these people who are prepared to take us, get on the train with us to go as far as their commitment to liberty and to peace will take them, as long as they're not trying to change the direction of the train or to park it on a siding someplace. And I think that's one thing we need to keep in mind here. If we are in the stages of a new civilization, as I believe we are, we have to go back to how Western civilization itself got started. Civilizations are created by individuals. They are destroyed by collectives. And we saw historically how a troublemaker by the name of Gutenberg, who invented movable type and set in motion all kinds of troublesome events that the established order never got over. Things like the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, the Reformation, the Scientific Age, the Age of Reason, and that most humanizing of all periods, the Industrial Revolution. Well, we're in kind of a similar situation. As our present civilization collapses, we find ourselves in the midst of yet another major revolution in information. There is nothing so creative, nothing so liberating as the free flow of information, which is what terrifies these people. Our struggle, I think, really centers on what I call the human spirit. I think we spent a lot of time talking about the economics, the philosophy, and so forth, but there's something about the degradation of the individual that needs to be focused upon. And when I think of this, the metaphor or the person that comes to mind are those beings that my Irish ancestors knew so well, the leprechauns. Leprechauns valued their gold. Boy, they did. You take their gold away from them, there's going to be hell to pay in their effort to get it back. But the one thing they would never jeopardize in an effort to protect their gold was their liberty. Their liberty was always far more important. The leprechauns were those who lived with this kind of integrity, to where your material needs and your spiritual needs are one and the same. And in this sense, I sort of think of Ron as a leprechaun. He really is. He's kind of got that playful spirit about him and so forth. Right. And as this new Renaissance unfolds, the task before us is to do what happened in the earlier days of the Western civilization. That's to expand our awareness, to know more about economics and history, the sciences, philosophy, psychology, anthropology, engineering, whatever, as well as those right brain voices that speak to us and we sometimes ignore, the voices that come to us in the form of art, music, dance, and poetry. We have a need, in other words, for a passion for liberty. Not just an intellectual dedication, although that's part of it, but a passion for it. And this is what the Ron Paul phenomenon is about. Part of it is involving this need for a new language that allows our inner voices to find expression in the outer world. And some of the right brain influences, I think, help us in that regard. There's something, I think Ron expresses this as well as anybody, something about the sacred nature of life itself. That life is found only within individuals, never within collectives.